The origins of the Celts trace back to the early Indo-European peoples who spread across Europe during the Bronze Age. These proto-Celtic communities gradually evolved their distinct cultural and linguistic characteristics, which became prominent during the Hallstatt period, around 1200 to 500 BCE. Centered in Central Europe, particularly in areas of modern-day Austria, southern Germany, and Switzerland, the Hallstatt culture is recognized as the cradle of Celtic civilization. This period was marked by advancements in metalworking, particularly iron, and a flourishing trade network that connected the Celts to Mediterranean and other European cultures. As the Hallstatt culture transitioned into the Latin period around 500 BCE, the Celts developed a more recognizable identity. The Latin culture, characterized by its intricate artwork and distinctive styles, saw the expansion of the Celts across much of Europe. They established themselves as a dominant cultural force, spreading westward into the British Isles and Iberian Peninsula, northward into Scandinavia, eastward into the Balkans, and even into Asia Minor with the establishment of the Galatian tribes. This era also witnessed the emergence of Celtic languages, which formed a distinct branch of the Indo-European language family. These languages, though diverse, share common roots and provide crucial insights into the shared cultural and social practices of early Celtic communities. The Celts' emphasis on oral traditions, alongside their unique art, religion, and societal structures, laid the foundation for their widespread influence in the ancient world. The expansion and settlement of the Celts were defining aspects of their history, showcasing their adaptability and influence across vast territories. During the early Iron Age, the Celts began migrating from their heartlands in Central Europe, spreading their culture and establishing settlements across much of the continent. By the peak of their expansion, the Celts inhabited regions stretching from the Iberian Peninsula in the west to the Balkans and Anatolia in the east, as well as from the British Isles in the north to northern Italy in the south. This expansion was driven by various factors, including population growth, the search for new arable land, and opportunities for trade and conquest. The Celts were skilled farmers, and their ability to cultivate land efficiently allowed them to settle in diverse environments. They also established vibrant trade networks, exchanging goods such as salt, metals, and crafted items with neighboring cultures, including the Greeks and Etruscans. The Celts demonstrated remarkable versatility in adapting to the regions they settled, integrating elements of local traditions while maintaining their cultural identity. They founded numerous settlements that became centers of trade and governance, some of which evolved into significant towns and cities. In some areas, such as Gaul and Britain, Celtic tribes developed intricate social hierarchies and tribal alliances, reinforcing their dominance over these territories. Their expansion into Anatolia, where they became known as the Galatians, highlights their far-reaching influence. Invited as mercenaries and settlers, the Galatians established a unique Celtic enclave in Asia Minor, blending their traditions with local customs. Similarly, in Iberia and the British Isles, the Celts left a lasting cultural and linguistic legacy that endured long after their political dominance waned. The Celts' ability to expand and settle across such a broad geographic area underscores their resilience and adaptability. Despite facing challenges from emerging powers such as Rome, their settlements served as hubs of cultural exchange and innovation, ensuring their influence would endure throughout European history. The expansion and settlement of the Celts were defining aspects of their history, showcasing their adaptability and influence across vast territories. During the early Iron Age, the Celts began migrating from their heartlands in Central Europe, spreading their culture and establishing settlements across much of the continent. By the peak of their expansion, the Celts inhabited regions stretching from the Iberian Peninsula in the west to the Balkans and Anatolia in the east, as well as from the British Isles in the north to northern Italy in the south. This expansion was driven by various factors, including population growth, the search for new arable land, and opportunities for trade and conquest. The Celts were skilled farmers, and their ability to cultivate land efficiently allowed them to settle in diverse environments. They also established vibrant trade networks, exchanging goods such as salt, metals, and crafted items with neighboring cultures, including the Greeks and Etruscans. The Celts demonstrated remarkable versatility in adapting to the regions they settled, integrating elements of local traditions while maintaining their cultural identity. They founded numerous settlements that became centers of trade and governance, some of which evolved into significant towns and cities. In some areas, such as Gaul and Britain, Celtic tribes developed intricate social hierarchies and tribal alliances, reinforcing their dominance over these territories. Their expansion into Anatolia, where they became known as the Galatians, highlights their far-reaching influence. Invited as mercenaries and settlers, the Galatians established a unique Celtic enclave in Asia Minor, blending their traditions with local customs. Similarly, in Iberia and the British Isles, the Celts left a lasting cultural and linguistic legacy that endured long after their political dominance waned. The Celts' ability to expand and settle across such a broad geographic area underscores their resilience and adaptability. Despite facing challenges from emerging powers such as Rome, their settlements served as hubs of cultural exchange and innovation, ensuring their influence would endure throughout European history. Celtic religion and mythology were deeply intertwined with their view of the natural world and their understanding of existence. The Celts practiced a polytheistic religion, worshipping a vast array of deities associated with natural elements, such as rivers, forests, and mountains, as well as abstract concepts like war, fertility, and wisdom. Their gods and goddesses were often local or regional, reflecting the deep connection between the Celtic tribes and their immediate landscapes. Sacred groves, springs, and other natural sites were central to their religious practices, serving as places of worship and ritual. The Druids, the priestly class of the Celts, played a pivotal role in their spiritual life. Druids were not only religious leaders but also served as judges, teachers, and custodians of oral traditions. They presided over ceremonies, conducted sacrifices, and acted as intermediaries between the gods and the people. Their knowledge of astronomy, natural sciences, and lore further solidified their status as vital figures within Celtic society. Celtic mythology was rich and varied, often transmitted orally through stories and poetry. These myths reflected the values, fears, and aspirations of the Celts, filled with heroic deeds, supernatural beings, and moral lessons. In Irish mythology, cycles such as the Ulster cycle and the mythological cycle recount tales of legendary warriors, gods, and epic battles. Figures like Cuchulainn the Morrigan and Lugh feature prominently, embodying the ideals of bravery, cunning, and divine power. Wales also preserved a wealth of Celtic mythology, most notably in the tales compiled in the Mabinogion. These stories weave together themes of transformation, fate, and the mystical connection between humans and the otherworld. Central to Celtic belief was the concept of the otherworld, a realm of gods and spirits that could be accessed through certain sacred sites or during liminal times, such as Samhain, the festival marking the transition from autumn to winter. The Celts' religious and mythological systems were integral to their identity, shaping their rituals, governance, and daily lives. Even as Christianity spread through Celtic lands, many elements of their beliefs endured, blending with new traditions and leaving a lasting legacy in the folklore and cultural practices of their descendants. The Celtic Golden Age was a period marked by cultural flourishing, economic prosperity, and territorial dominance. During this time, the Celts became known for their exceptional craftsmanship, intricate art, and far-reaching trade networks. Their metalworking skills were unparalleled, producing beautifully designed weapons, jewelry, and tools made from iron, bronze, and gold. Objects such as torques, elaborate neck rings worn as symbols of status and power, reflect the sophistication and artistic creativity of Celtic artisans. The Celts established themselves as a dominant cultural force across much of Europe, with their influence extending from the British Isles to the Iberian Peninsula and the Balkans. This period saw the rise of prominent settlements and fortified centers known as oppida, which became hubs of trade, governance, and cultural exchange. The Celts traded extensively with neighboring cultures, exchanging goods such as salt, metals, and textiles for luxury items like wine and ceramics from the Mediterranean. Warrior culture was a cornerstone of Celtic society during this era, with a strong emphasis on honor, bravery, and martial prowess. Warriors held a prestigious position, often depicted in Celtic art and celebrated in oral traditions. This period also witnessed the development of advanced weaponry and military strategies, which allowed the Celts to defend their territories and expand their influence. Celtic society was highly organized, with intricate social structures that included chieftains, nobles, and commoners. The Druids played a crucial role as spiritual leaders, advisors, and keepers of knowledge, ensuring the continuity of religious practices and oral traditions. Festivals and rituals were integral to community life, reinforcing bonds and celebrating the cycles of nature. Despite the eventual pressures from external forces such as the Roman Empire, the Celtic Golden Age left an indelible mark on European history. The cultural achievements of the Celts during this time, particularly their art and oral traditions, continue to inspire and influence modern interpretations of their legacy. This era stands as a testament to the creativity, resilience, and ingenuity of the Celtic peoples. The conflict between the Celts and Rome was a defining chapter in Celtic history, characterized by fierce resistance, dramatic clashes, and eventual subjugation. As the Roman Republic and later the Roman Empire expanded, they encountered the Celts across various regions, most notably in Gaul, Britain, and the territories of northern Italy. Early interactions were often marked by hostility, with the Celts famously sacking Rome in 390 BCE under the leadership of the chieftain Brennus, an event that left a lasting impression on Roman memory. As Rome grew more powerful, its campaigns increasingly targeted Celtic lands. Julius Caesar's conquest of Gaul from 58 to 50 BCE was a pivotal moment in the Celtic-Roman conflict. The Gallic Wars were marked by brutal battles and significant loss of life, culminating in the decisive defeat of the Gallic tribes at the Battle of Alesia in 52 BCE. Vercingetorix, the charismatic leader of the Gallic resistance, surrendered to Caesar, symbolizing the fall of independent Celtic Gaul and the beginning of Roman rule in the region. The conquest of Britain followed under Emperor Claudius in 43 CE, as Roman legions advanced into the island's Celtic territories. While some tribes collaborated with Rome, others fiercely resisted, most famously under the leadership of Boudica, Queen of the Iceni. Her rebellion in 60-61 CE, sparked by Roman abuses, led to the sacking of several Roman settlements, including Londinium, modern London, before being crushed by the Roman army. Celtic resistance was not limited to Gaul and Britain. In other regions such as Hispania and the Balkans, the Celts also faced Roman expansion. The Galatians in Anatolia, initially allies and mercenaries for neighboring powers, eventually fell under Roman influence and were incorporated into the empire. The Romanization of Celtic lands brought profound changes, including the decline of traditional tribal structures and the suppression of Druidic practices. Roman cities and infrastructure replaced many Celtic oppida, and Latin gradually supplanted Celtic languages in many regions. Despite this, elements of Celtic culture persisted, particularly in more remote areas like Ireland and parts of Scotland, which remained beyond the reach of Roman control. The conflicts with Rome ultimately marked the end of the Celts as a dominant force in Europe. However, their resistance, particularly figures like Vercingetorix and Boudica, has become a symbol of defiance and cultural resilience in the face of imperial expansion. The survival of Celtic culture in the British Isles is a testament to the resilience of the Celtic peoples in the face of external pressures and changing historical circumstances. While much of mainland Europe experienced Romanization and the decline of traditional Celtic practices, the British Isles, particularly Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, became strongholds for Celtic traditions, languages, and identities. In Ireland, which remained outside the reach of Roman conquest, Celtic society continued to thrive and evolve. The Irish preserved their native language and developed a rich oral tradition of myths, legends, and genealogies. The Druids remained central to their spiritual and cultural life, maintaining their role as religious leaders and custodians of knowledge. Over time, these traditions would be recorded in written form, providing an invaluable record of pre-Christian Celtic culture. Scotland and Wales also retained much of their Celtic heritage, despite varying degrees of Roman influence. In Scotland, the Picts, a confederation of tribes with strong Celtic roots, maintained their independence from Rome and preserved their unique customs and language. Wales, although partially conquered by the Romans, remained a bastion of Celtic identity, with its mountainous terrain providing a refuge for its people and traditions. The arrival of Christianity in the British Isles introduced significant changes, while also fostering the preservation of Celtic culture. In Ireland, Christian missionaries such as St. Patrick worked to convert the population, blending Christian teachings with existing Celtic beliefs. This syncretism is evident in early Irish Christianity, where sacred sites, symbols, and festivals were adapted to fit Christian narratives. The Irish monastic tradition became a beacon of learning and culture, producing illuminated manuscripts like the Book of Kells that reflect a fusion of Christian and Celtic artistic styles. Celtic languages also endured in the Isles, evolving into distinct forms such as Irish, Scottish, Gaelic, Welsh, and later Cornish and Manx. Despite later pressures from Anglo-Saxon and Norman invaders, these languages remained central to the cultural identity of their speakers, preserving a direct link to their ancient heritage. The survival of Celtic culture in the British Isles ensured that many aspects of Celtic art, mythology, and spirituality were not only preserved, but also integrated into the broader cultural fabric of the region. Even as external influences grew stronger, the Celts of the Isles maintained their distinctiveness, leaving a legacy that continues to shape the identities of Ireland, Scotland, and Wales today. The legacy of the Celts is one of profound cultural, linguistic, and artistic influence that continues to resonate across Europe and beyond. Although the Celts as a dominant political force diminished with the expansion of the Roman Empire and later migrations of Germanic tribes, their contributions to history have endured in various forms. From language and art to mythology and identity, the Celts left an indelible mark on the cultures they touched. One of the most enduring aspects of Celtic heritage is their languages, which survive in the modern Celtic tongues of Irish, Scottish, Gaelic, Welsh, Breton, Cornish, and Manx. Despite periods of decline due to political suppression and cultural assimilation, efforts in recent centuries have revitalized these languages, which remain a cornerstone of Celtic identity. Festivals, literature, and education have played significant roles in preserving and promoting these linguistic traditions. Celtic art, renowned for its intricate patterns, knotwork, and symbolism, continues to inspire modern design and craftsmanship. The decorative motifs seen in illuminated manuscripts like the Book of Kells and carved stone crosses reflect the Celts' deep connection to spirituality and the natural world. These artistic elements are now synonymous with Celtic identity, celebrated in jewelry, tattoos, and visual art worldwide. The mythology and folklore of the Celts have also endured, influencing literature, music, and storytelling traditions. Tales of legendary figures such as Cuchulainn, King Arthur, and the Tuatha De Danann have transcended their origins to become part of a shared cultural heritage. These stories, filled with themes of heroism, magic, and the interplay between humans and the other world, continue to captivate audiences and inspire creative works. The modern era has seen a revival of interest in Celtic culture, particularly during the 19th and 20th centuries with movements like the Celtic Revival. This period rekindled pride in Celtic heritage through literature, art, and music, fostering a sense of identity among the peoples of Celtic descent. Today, Celtic festivals, music, and dance thrive, celebrating the vibrant traditions of the past while adapting to contemporary contexts. The Celts' legacy is not confined to their descendants in Europe. The diaspora of Celtic peoples, particularly through emigration from Ireland and Scotland, has spread their culture worldwide. In countries such as the United States, Canada, and Australia, Celtic traditions remain an integral part of cultural life, celebrated in festivals, parades, and community gatherings. The enduring appeal of the Celts lies in their ability to connect the ancient and modern worlds. Their achievements in art, language, and mythology continue to inspire and influence, ensuring that their legacy remains a vital part of the cultural landscape today.